YouTube, I'm back with you again. Look, I wanted to talk about something today, but first, check out that little dog. You see that little dog over there? She had a really good morning out there running around. Fall is hitting good, and that dog was able to really run around a bunch this morning. And these German short-haired pointers, man, they get a little frisky and a little wound up when the temperatures get nice and cool. So she had a good morning running around a bunch, and we just had a good opportunity, a big open field. We got unloaded this morning, and I'm just waiting on another load. But want to talk about social media break. So, I tend to like to brag a little bit sometimes, and it's interesting how now it's for sometimes and some people it's a flex, it's a brag to talk about taking a social media break, or you don't mess around with social media no more. Well, let me tell you my story. I took over a 3-year social media break, and I think, I feel like that is kind of a brag, because I don't think most people are doing that, even though a lot of people would like to. And that shows you the addiction level. Now, this is coming from somebody that I struggle with weight and I struggle with bad habits, so I know what it's like to be an addict, okay? Trust me. And let me tell you, the social media thing is a whole nother thing too. That dopamine hit and that just habitual habit and that doom scrolling where you just want to scroll just for the habit of scrolling, and you just want to like bury yourself, because of your social anxiety into your phone so you don't have to make eye contact with nobody or nothing like that. It is what it is. Now, I still do it. I have gotten better at, trying to actually, every now and then if I feel someone's receptive to, say what's up, hey, just a casual as you're walking by, don't even have to make eye contact. I think we need to get better at that here in America, because I think the cultural shift has been really wild, and it's been so fast that we, over the last generation or two, we kind of don't even realize, and it's just kind of taking us by storm. So, when it comes to the social media deal, in 2021, in January, I decided that I was going to take a break. And I deleted my Facebook accounts, I think I had more than one account. I had my personal account, I had a business account, and then I also had kind of like a troll account where it's like a alias fake name. And I'd get on there and mess around a little bit. So, I completely did that, deleted the apps. Wasn't too much on the Instagram thing, but I did have one. Did that too, got rid of that. I even got rid of LinkedIn. The only thing I've kept the whole time is YouTube. To me, YouTube is in a different realm. It's a lot better. There's still censorship. It's a problem, but it's not a social media when I in the same sense of, these, basically chat forums and stuff, even though, YouTube, we all understand, pretty much everybody, especially if you're watching this, you understand. It's just a difference. It's just, YouTube really genuinely benefits my life in a lot of regards, especially, honestly, when it comes to cable television. Come on, we all have some free time, and you gotta, do something with it, and we all need to learn things. And YouTube, let me tell you something right now, it's YouTube University now. You can learn a lot, and you can engage in a lot of things in YouTube and stuff. So there's a lot of benefits, in my opinion, no doubt about it. So the deal is, for me, things have just gotten so polarizing, and the echo chamber of the type of people that are on social media, especially now, because I'm going to get to what I've in my experience and what I see now and what happened to me. So what happened to me was I was done with it and whatnot. And then, I honestly, it was such a clean break that I just didn't want to be on it anymore. So, but I went through phases where I was like, I'd like to do this for myself. And then eventually I kept praying on it. And eventually that opportunity presented itself, and I got off. And I really didn't think about it much. It was just whatever, man. Didn't care. And next thing you know, it's a year later. It's 2 years later. 3 years later. And honestly, I can't even remember when I kind of dipped my toes back in. But I know it was over 3 years. I can't remember. This is 2025. I can't remember if it was earlier this year or if it was earlier last year. But, me, I'm done with social media and having a personal account that is tied to my government name. I'm not a fan of that. I personally, we can all be conspiracy theorists, but people have been fooled to put their legal name and their personal information online too much, and especially on a social media platform. Are you kidding me? Come on now. Now, it's completely different. It's quite a bit different in this sense, but when it comes to like, you put your, everything is tied to who you are. Your whole resume is damn near on a social media. And then you got your legal government name. People can probably find out your address and IP and all kind of stuff at the same time. I mean, you cooked. It's just too much. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good just in that sense. For me, when it comes to what I consider a true social media, I'm never going to have a legal government name on there. And I'm probably never going to have a profile picture of me or anything that delineates that is me. Not because I'm trying to hide anything, just because I don't want it to be personal. It's not personal. It's like a chat forum. Chat forums used to always be alias names, alias pictures and stuff like that. I think it should be taboo to even do that now. But it just shows you the culture shift and the culture change. Okay. But let me tell you, so when I dipped my toes back into it, I was just kind of curious, like, because I will say, like, the pros and the cons and what I experienced, what I experienced is, one of the interesting things is you just get used to just bringing your phone out and doom scrolling. And, there's a time and a place for stuff like that. Listen, let me tell you something, one of the best things you can do, if you haven't done it, is to take that social media break, though. If you haven't taken that social media break and at least taken a full year, like, it really don't even start getting interesting until past a year. Like, it gets sweeter and sweeter, to be honest with you, because you begin to notice little shifts and big shifts to an extent, because you realize not only the bad habit of it, but how much time you waste on it. And you realize what you could be doing different. And, like, instead of getting on a social media that you don't even really like, engaging with people that you don't know and that you probably don't like, engaging in topics and stuff that you don't like, you could be engaging in YouTube or something else that not only engages you, entertains you, maybe teaches you something. There's not a whole lot of that on social media. There is a little bit, especially certain little things where you actually get a little something out of it. But even in returning back to social media, I've realized there's very little gain from what I personally see in social media, unless you're running a business. And even then, you got to be real careful about how you allow that into your life and even allow it into your business. And, the biggest thing I've learned is when I cut it off, I was like, what am I going to do when I'm standing in line somewhere, this, that, and the other? And I don't want to just be looking around, because you definitely feel like literally an extraterrestrial when you are just standing there. Everybody's buried in their phone. Nobody's want to make eye contact. Nobody want to talk to each other. Stranger danger. And, I've come to find that, I really don't want to engage with most people a lot of times anyway. There's definitely some good people out there still, but man, it's a wild world we live in. It's the wild, wild west out here, where our culture has changed, and there's so much diversity, too much diversity, and too much polarity. It's hard to really get along and form good relationships with people, because we're all growing and we're all changing and we're all different. And it's a bit too much, to be honest. But, at least for relationships and stuff. So, Point is that, it really aids to be a little more individualistic, if that's a word. There's goods and bads to that, about like anything. But I'll say that what I noticed is that I would just, supplement it with something different. Instead of scrolling on, social media, I just started scrolling through my email. I was scrolling through email, and then I'm scrolling through messages. I'm scrolling through old messages. Then I finally got sick of doing all that. And then I just started just not doing anything with my phone and got bored. And then eventually I started really trying to engage in like listening to a YouTube or something, or a podcast or something, and try and get some, not entertainment, but I'm trying to learn something in the background. I'm trying to research something. And then now ChatGPT, that's another option. You could be buried into trying to learn something on ChatGPT or these other Grok. I recommend Grok, as AI, chatbots where you can learn a crap ton with these things. So these are all these options. It's all about, ask yourself, how much are you actually benefiting? What are you getting out of spending any time on social media? And you should at least experiment with taking a long extended break. I think, variety is the spice of life, and just going through that habitual change is important. We all need to do it in about everything that we do. And it's a good time to give it a try. It's a real good time. And, I noticed, these different things where, it benefited me a little more to be more proactive in my emails, or a little more proactive in my text messages, or, then it turned into, well, I'm spending more time on YouTube where I learn more, or I'm spending more time on ChatGPT and these chatbots, asking questions, researching things, thinking, instead of just being engaged in crap on social media. I'm thinking. Now I'm getting headaches because I'm thinking so much. I'm dead serious. So, it's a very interesting thing. And, I started learning how to, you get into new hobbies, just the time factor on some of y'all. But for me, it was about thinking more and planning more, like really thinking about my life more, even, to be honest with you. Isn't that crazy? We spend so much time on social media, we even forget. I never had a 1-year plan, a 3-year plan in my life, a 5-year plan, and a 10-year plan. And because I got more time to engage in YouTube and other platforms or other resources, and I'm thinking more, now I'm leveling up. Now I'm doing more. Now I'm thinking more. Now I'm making more moves. Instead of, for one thing, watching other people live their lives, the life that they post on social media, which is usually fake anyway. And I'm not engaged in this fake, superficial, scripted world reality of reality TV or social media. Okay? Come on now. It's just the truth. And, that was my experience, and those are my thoughts. Now, fast forward to in the last year or two, I think it was this year, but I honestly can't remember when so what I did is I was just kind of curious, because there is a small piece where social media fits into my life. Very small. It's like 1%, maybe 5%. It just depends on how much free time I have, and even then, if I notice that I'm getting too much free time, if I just happen to have a day or a week, I cut it back and I cut it down. I'll delete the app if I have to. But what I'll do is, for one thing, I'll backtrack just a little bit. First, I have in my app setting for the social medias, I put myself on a 1 hour per day timer. And, it's easy for me to keep myself from being on social media too much, because the culture shock and how, honestly, it's a little bit of how much I've noticed that the change in me, but also in social media itself. I don't want to be on it that long, but it's still addicting, and I'll get to that. So that's just kind of a buffer to help remind myself that, hey, you're reaching your limit. You're reaching your limit. And, So what I did is I'll get into so for example, I'm kind of into cars a little bit, performance cars, and there's some groups and stuff on there that I do get a little bit of entertainment and a little bit of engagement on that can sometimes be beneficial for me. There's some different groups when it comes to trading in the markets and different things that maybe sometimes I get a little bit of benefit from. Learning new recipes and seeing some little things on social media every now and then, little bits of benefit. It's very scarce, but there's little bits, and it's really not worth it. But the conclusion that I've come to is it's important to do these, basically you could call it purges. You could also call it a fast, and change these habits and go through these varieties of in and out of being heavy into something and then being completely out, and then learning to, control it or stay away from it. And I think mixing it up like this is important. And then, on top of that, finding how much that what does the social media do for you? How do you benefit from it? What does it mean for you? And what's the future of it look like for you? And it'll be different for different people. I know for me, I've already told you my situation. Now, so I go, I naturally go days now where I don't want to be on it. I literally don't want to be on it. But it's so addicting, and they make it this way with the dopamine and the just being able to turn your brain off, essentially, that, it can sometimes still be easy to slide into having a little extra free time and being on it. And everybody has to watch that. Balance, and all that. So, the deal for me is, when I decided, I was curious what was kind of going on in a couple of these little groups. There were some things I was interested in with my performance car, and I'm curious what's going on in the group. This was, after over a 3-year break. So I was like, I'm just going to see what's going on. Just see what's up. I know I can control myself on this stuff now. And I do. I literally don't even want to be on this most of the time. And when I do, I get sick of it quick. But I do like the little bits of benefit that I get out of it. It's those little, like, every now and then, you scroll and then, that's actually kind of interesting, or that's actually kind of beneficial. But like I said, it's not that often. Even if you really program your account through the algorithms where you say interested in and disinterested in these, even if you do that, it's still. And let me tell you, when I came back, the first thing I noticed, wow, things have changed. Just in a couple of years, the culture shock, especially I saw on Facebook. I'm guessing it's because of the change between X and all the liberals going to Facebook, I guess. Wow. Wow. That is very toxic stuff over there. So on Facebook in particular, I definitely limit it. Now, I personally don't really enjoy the X platform and Twitter. So, and I never did. I never did. I never really spent any time on there. I actually spend more time on it now than I used to back in the day, but I still spend very little time on it. I literally had a blank account, never did anything with it in the past. I just didn't like it. I still don't like it. Just the aesthetic of it and whatnot, I just don't like it for some reason. So, but I actually find less toxicity on X, which probably is a lot of because of my political and, morality, I guess, value. So, anyway. But there are some things on Facebook that's interesting. Instagram, I can't even do Instagram, hardly, because I find very little benefit, even less than Facebook. It's about the same. It's just different, to be honest. It's about the same, probably. But for me, the problem with especially Instagram, the algorithms are so powerful, especially as a man. If you can't help but notice a fine looking female, or just basically porn. It's just basically porn that's on these sites, just half naked, doing all kind of stuff. And I'm a man, but even me, it's too much. It's too much, and I'll tell you why. Because I really don't want to go everywhere and actually see that. You know, it devalues it, for one thing. And number two, it shows me what I'm missing out on. I've never been the one to want to go to a strip club anyway, because why would I want to pay for blue balls? Why do I want to pay for that? Why do I want to spend my time to not get a nut? Come on now. That's just me. So, you know, for me, the Instagram, you click on one thing because you just can't help but click, and you're going to, because there's so much porn, basically, is what it is on Instagram. So many women out, females, they selling stuff on, they selling pictures and videos on another site because it's allowed there, and they posting stuff on Instagram. And even just the average females, you know, they got to make a living online, so they're gonna show themselves off a little bit here and there, and that's the culture in the world we've come to now. That I can't even hardly do it, because once you click on a female's content, you're gonna get more female content, and that's gonna eventually lead to half-naked women all over the place. And before you know it, as a man, I can't even be on it. I can't even be on it. Because the algorithm, once you click on one, the algorithm's screwed. And now you got all this stuff coming your way. And now, even if you try to avoid it, you can't. You can't. It's really a shame. So, you know, that's my take on it. Yeah, Facebook is a little bit like that too. And luckily, I don't have to screw around with LinkedIn, at least hopefully not ever again. You know, I'm not in a position where I have to, you know, really I commingle, you know, with other people for work or business. Luckily, I don't have to, in the line of work that I do, fuck the system. I can do my own thing. I got my license, and I can run a business. I don't need y'all. I run a business. The best part is I run a business that I don't have to have a relationship with you or anybody. You know why? Because I got money, a truck, and I got a skill set and a license that allows me to do it. I don't have to have relations with nobody. I don't have to work with nobody. They need me. So, anyway, that's kind of my take on it. That's my experience. I think that covers about everything. Let me know your experience. Let me know if you're thinking about doing this. Let me know your thoughts. I'm actually curious. And I hope this finds somebody. You know, I'm not out here to convince anybody. But I am here to share some thoughts, my experience. And, you know, if it does reach or touch somebody in some kind of way to inspire them, that's what I'm here for, you know. And, yeah, you know, so anybody out there that's had this experience or wants to share theirs and whatnot, and if you've even thought about it, if you haven't done it before, you need to just start. It's like, I'll tell you, for me, it wasn't, you know, cold turkey necessarily. I went through about a year window ish, something like that, before this major fast, where I dabbled with kind of cutting it. Like, I would delete the account, and then I'd come back, you know, I don't know, within a month, maybe a few months. You know, I did that like maybe 2 or 3 times. And I never did this, luckily, but don't ever get on social media and say, bye, y'all, I'm taking a social media break. Do you know how dumb you look? Just do it. That's how lost in the sauce you are of that fake superficial reality, where you got to have that ego thing. Nobody cares. They probably don't care. And if they do, they should be in your phone with your phone number, calling or texting you and knowing what's going on in your life. And if they don't know, then either they don't fuck with you or you don't fuck with them. And that's how I am. If you have my phone number, if you've been getting my call or my text, maybe I fuck with you. I probably do. If you don't have my new phone numbers that I've switched to, then you aren't in my life, and I don't fuck with you. Period. And if you are, then I fuck with you. Probably. I'm out.